So it's Monday the 5th of June and literally got my feelers out. Someone come up to me at work and said, "Oh, you've got your feelers out today then? Just putting your feet..." I'm like, "Oh, fuck off, man." I'm usually like contacting aliens, you know, whatever. It's just different, and most people won't walk down the street looking like it, so because of that, I will. I think there's something actually wrong in my brain. But anyway, this weekend, I'm going to tell you something, it's fucking hilarious. This weekend, went with my mates, one of my mates from work, we went for a quiz night at one of the old man clubs, you know, what they're called. We all have them, you know, the North End, West End, all that sort of club, working man's club. And my dad's always been a member of one, but we went to one because her sister-in-law, I think, was doing some kind of charity quiz night, right? So we was like, okay, we're form a team, right? We actually come 5th, which was quite surprising. Out of about, I think there's about 12, 13. So that's not bad, is it, really, for people who are not really... Anyway, at the end of it, they had a raffle, and we'd won 2 bottles of Prosecco, some long, like, strips of these chewy bar things. You actually went and chose which you wanted. So as the course of the prizes went, gifts went, they didn't actually, you know, put a number on each one. So, of course, when I went up there, I think there was some earrings, a ring, some really odd-looking bath bombs, and, like, some kind of weird drink, I think, that was, like, you know, some gin or 4-pack of gin. And I was like, I was like, ugh, no one will want any of this. What was there? Right, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just take the ring, because if no one wants it, I'll have to put it on a finger somewhere, right? Because I've got quite big fingers. Anyway, so I've come back to the table, I've gone, anyone want a ring? And one of the girls, which is my mate's best mate's sister, who I know, but only, you know, 2 or 3 times or better, she goes, "Oh, I need one. My husband hasn't replaced something on her finger, so it felt bare since she's got married last year. I think it might be her engagement ring's missing or something's not... I can't remember exactly what she said. So she didn't have a ring there, and it happened to fit that finger. So my mate said, "Well, you need to propose." I was like, okay, so I got down on one knee in the middle of this fucking Wednesday, proposed to a stranger. So she's like, "Oh, yes." So we had to stage a picture, which we did just for social media, because it was funny, right? This is hilarious. It's not so much the picture's funny, but it's when you zoom into the people in the backdrop. Right, this is the picture, right? As you can see, there's me. And then if we, oh, hold on. If we zoom in to the array of faces, can you see them? I'm pretty sure the man in green top, I know him from somewhere. Can't remember where it is, but it's either in a working man's club with a raffle ring, you council estate people, you commoner. Or it was lesbians, right? I don't know what it was, but it was fucking priceless. We took the picture, we looked at it. I wouldn't stop fucking laughing. It was the fucking highlight of the evening. Anyway, I digress. I just had to tell you that story because it's fucking cracked me up. So, anyway, oh, the best bit, the cliche is it. I went into work today and one of the managers said to me, "Oh, congratulations." Oh, so I had to explain, and she's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." I went, you know. Anyway, yeah. So Dr. Campbell, let's talk about other stuff. Dr. Campbell, he had a video out the other day, something to do with multiple sclerosis, a possible study, I think related to part of the drama stuff. I'm not going to go into detail because, one, I don't want the video banned for saying information that's not entirely correct because I'm not completely quoting it, but if you go and watch it, it's on his YouTube page, and it says something about trials and multiple sclerosis. Also, does anyone, 2019 I think it was, there was a series out called Years and Years. It was on the BBC, and I think the only reason why I started watching it is because a person I hung around with back then suggested it. Because they were watching it and said, "Oh, it's really weird, it's probably your sort of thing." And it was weird, and I think there was only one series, But it was like kind of, everyone got locked down. There was Alexis everywhere. And it just all got a bit fucking weird. It's almost like dystopian, the edge of AI. Like the very edge of AI. It's like, because, you know, quite rightfully, AI doesn't have to be sinister. It doesn't have to necessarily want to rid us. You know, there is, so, you know, there's logic to the fact that they probably need us like we need them. So that's when you think, oh, maybe that's when we come into, you know, we amalgamate, and that's the next step of evolution that I don't think anyone's really ready for. Having your entire consciousness downloaded onto a hard drive. So you don't play the game of forgetting and enjoying yourself each time you come here. You remember! Well, I don't know if that's an upgrade or a downgrade. I don't know what it is. I don't really know how I feel about that, because I actually think that's what this is anyway. Because surely to God, if some of the theories that people think out there about what this is about, you're here to experience new things and then take some of it away. So you remember some things but not specifics. So then when you next come into the game, the education sphere, you grow and experience new things, because you know what it's like when you do something repetitively. It gets boring. It's not, it's boring, it's just that it becomes, you don't observe because you know what you're going to observe. It's a little bit like that. So you get, like, if you take, it's like round, when you live in the same area. I live in the same area, and sometimes I don't want to ride down the same path, but if you go down a path at different seasons, you see different things. So then if you go down a path walking, you see something different to if you're cycling, or if you're roller skating, or as if you're driving, or if you're flying. So there's all different ways you can make the experience of that particular stretch of where you're walking, cycling, driving more interesting. You know, there's loads of different variants of that, but there's only so much to the point where you go, oh, actually, I've not experienced that before, let's do this. And how many things, you know, once you get into this, things become easy, how the world is, because technology and all these things make a lot more experiences easy. You know, when, you know, 150 years ago, who flew to Spain for a week? You're lucky if you got 10 miles down the road and sat by the river for the week, let alone, you know, you all know where I'm going here. But I think this AI and tech thing and the almost control analism of it is almost like, for people like myself, you know, I read that book where you've got the different personality types. You've got the red personality, the yellow personality, the green personality, and the blue personality. I've got the book at the moment, my friend's borrowing it. But in retrospect, red's kind of aggressive, ambitious, you know, whatever, not horrible. Yellows are a little bit more like, come on, get on with it, get move on, and creative, woo, fanny, no, don't fanny around, they get on with stuff. But they're a little more sort of like go, go, go than green, sort of like most of the population, happy to please and wants to make everyone. And blue's very like, no, we've got to do it again. It needs to be, double check that, right? So all them things are positives. But I think because I'm more yellow, with a touch of red and a hint of green, and there's not as much blue, there's a little bit, obviously, because I know that I have to be anal sometimes, but I just find it really hard. But a computer's anal. You know, analytical, almost like, you know, and I can do accounts. I've not got no problem with maths, you know, and equations and stuff like that, and computer programming, for Christ's sake. But I don't ever want to run my life like that. Christ, to the exact, oh, that'd be fucking droll. It's like, I tie-dye, right? And there's different types of ways you can tie-dye. You can tie-dye with sinew, you can tie-dye with elastic bands, you can tie-dye with string, you can tie-dye with a wax string, which is a sinew. And you can do it, you know, all different ways. And they give different effects. Now, and if you do it dry or wet, they give different effects. Now, for me, I've always stuck mainly to an elastic band. One, I just don't get on with sinew, which I just don't, it hates me. I don't overly like its effects, if you want the truth. There's certain patterns that you need to use it for, but it's that fallout of wax. I don't know what it is about it, and it's almost like the lines to. Excuse me. I almost want a rustic, elastic band sort of textured line. That's more appealing to me. It's like when I write music, I don't, I make it sort of polished, but there's a point when it's like how polished is too polished, where now I sound like a machine. There's no soul in it anymore. And I think that's where I'm more of an artistic creative expression, but I can't do the analytical with it as well. And I think that if you put the analytical and the rustic together too much as a being, it could be really quite, how would that work? It could be interesting. It might work, it might not. I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I think that might be what scares different sides, because there's a lot of fear around it, and I understand why there's fear around it, because it could potentially be that dystopian sci-fi nightmare that we all know that could happen with AI. But it also could be a happy, peaceful place where everyone gets on and we all have fun. I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to stop now because I've got nothing else to say other than happy Monday. Peace, love and light.